As you begin to recognize that you get to decide all of it, and as you begin to appreciate the contrast which makes deciding or concluding or preferring more obvious, then you begin to sincerely, not just to please us, but sincerely enjoy the contrast. We always begin these gatherings by asking, those manifestations that have not yet come about are still pleasing to you, yes? And some lie and say yes, others say no. But we want you to come to the place where you say yes and really mean it. Yes, there are things that I want that have not come into manifestation yet. There are things I want that I can't even see any way of them happening, but they are still refreshing and delightful to me. I still feel anticipation. I still feel encouraged. They still feel fresh and good to me. And we want that for you. We want your unfulfilled desires to feel good to you because, well, there are two reasons. If you cannot make peace with where you are, then the unfulfilled desires are very slow in becoming fulfilled. Because that angst you feel about things not yet happening is an indication of a vibration that's literally holding them apart. So when you're sick and you want to be well, and you've been sick for a long time and it doesn't seem like you're getting better, or when you have one of those diagnoses that says you're probably not going to get better, and so instead of feeling hopeful, you feel fearful, improvement is very hard to come. In fact, it cannot come under those conditions. We were visiting with a woman one day, not long ago, and she was in great physical distress. She has arthritis in her hips. And so she is uncomfortable under nearly all circumstances, sitting, walking, standing. She just doesn't feel good. She has pain. And we said to her, you have arthritis in your hips. That's sort of where you're at. That is your action journey for right now. That's what's manifested so far. You can't change that. That is. Just like you might have a financial condition that you can't change right now. It is. It just is. So think of what is as your action journey. It's where I am. It's what's happening. It's where I am. It's what's happening. But concurrently with that action journey is an emotional journey that's running right alongside that. So we said to this woman, you could have arthritis in your hips, the action journey, and you could feel hopeful. Or you could have arthritis in your hips and you could feel fearful. And the vibrational difference between feeling hopeful and feeling fearful is the difference between getting well and not getting well. Is the difference between holding this condition on and on and on and on and on, or letting it go. So in the same way, we say, your current financial affairs could be not good. You could have more bills than you have income. You could have people hounding you on the telephone or beating on your door every day. And we say, so that's what is. That's the action journey that you're upon. But you could have that financial condition percolating along and you could feel hopeful, or you could have that percolating along and you could feel fearful. And the difference between fearful and hopeful is the difference between things improving for you. This is a vibrational universe, and you are vibrational beings. You don't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and expect to hear what's being broadcast on 98.6 FM. You understand you've got to line those frequencies up, and so you do. You don't stubbornly set it on the station that you don't want to hear and then demand that the laws of physics change so that you can hear it anyway without you doing anything about it. And you can't be beating the drum of things gone wrong and offering a vibration about things going wrong and be in the vibrational place of receiving what you are wanting. We want you to make peace with wherever you stand. And here's the most important part. When you feel despair or anything that doesn't feel good, and you reach for a thought that feels better, what comes right along with that is a conscious awareness that you do have some control of your experience. And friends, we cannot emphasize enough the importance of that conscious awareness that you can do something about the way you feel. Because when you feel better, when you choose a thought that feels better than the thought that you were choosing before, and you consciously acknowledge that you had the power to choose it, and that you did choose it, and that it did change your vibrational frequency, now there's no place you cannot go. Now that cloud of despair, that cloud of bondage, that cloud of not being able to control your own experience goes away. There is not anything that any of you want, whether it's a material object, a state of being, a relationship, a circumstance, an event. There's nothing that you have ever wanted or anybody you have ever known has ever wanted that is for any other reason than you think you will feel better in the having of it. You want that because you think you will feel better. And when you show yourself that you can feel better just because you've decided that you want to feel better and that you have the power to choose a thought that feels better, now you're on your way. And there's nowhere that you cannot go along this emotional scale. And when you make it up there into the consistent range of feeling pretty darn good, then wonderful things become the basis of your experience. Sometimes well-meaning people will encourage you to get happy faster than you can. And the reason that we say that is because, as we said earlier, you cannot put your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.6 FM. The frequencies have to match up. And if you are in despair or fear or anger, you can't jump all the way into bliss. You can't even get a whiff of bliss. It's a different vibrational frequency. So what we've noticed as we've been watching you, and we see everything that you are doing in your effort to get feeling better and to be the creator of your own reality, we notice that when you try to jump from anger or despair all the way to bliss, you don't make the jump. You can't possibly do it. And it's not because you're not good. It's because law of attraction is not going to give you access to thoughts or memories or experiences or other people that's very far from where you are offering your vibration. You get that? It is so important that you decide today. Well, you can decide tomorrow. You can decide anytime you want to, but it will be important to you when you make this decision that you're not going to try to jump frequencies. In other words, it doesn't matter where you are, you can move gradually into increasingly better places. And the thing that is so important is that you now, once and for all, make a decision that the relativity that you're going to be aware of is only going to be the relationship between how I am feeling and how I want to feel. In other words, my dominant intent is to find thoughts, the best feeling thoughts that I can find from where I am. Not the best feeling thought I've ever thought, or not the best feeling thought that anybody has ever thought, but just the best feeling thought that I have access to right now. So the important thing, we want you to decide really soon that you're not going to compare your emotional state with anybody else's. Because their emotional state is only about their emotional state. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Your friend that says, cheer up, be happy, come with me, say to your friend, I was depressed yesterday and today I'm really, really angry. And it's the best I can do. So don't ask me to jump up there in your bright, fluffy, sunshine, lollipop and roses vibration. It's not possible. It's a quantum leap I cannot make. Go away unless you like to be around an angry person. We thought you'd like that. Your creation, your creativity has only to do with your relationship with the source energy that creates worlds. And your emotions tell you everything you need to know about that relationship. So it doesn't matter how happy somebody else is. It only matters how happy you are. If you will look back into your experience, you will begin to notice, and we don't want you to look back too much, but just begin to viscerally feel around, and you will begin to recognize that these emotions are always coming in response to what you are giving your attention to. And with far less effort than it takes to learn QuickBooks on your computer, you're going to discover that you can be in control of the way you feel, which means you now have mastered the art of allowing. That means no matter what's going on around you, you have discovered a way to feel good and remain in connection. And when you've discovered that, then well-being must follow you everywhere you go. Esther talked to a friend yesterday who's a counselor, magnificent counselor, using many of the techniques that Abraham has offered over the years with her clients. And she says, I tell my clients, find the eye of your hurricane and just stay there. And Esther said, I sort of like that. When you think about all the things that are going on in the world that could be upsetting to you, but there is this calm here where I am. In other words, I don't have to change the world. The world doesn't have to change for me. Do you know that is truly what the meaning of unconditional love is? Most people, when they see something that makes them feel bad, they just feel bad. And when they see something that makes them feel good, they just feel good. And then they conclude, we've got to control the conditions. And so they make laws, and they get all kinds of patrollers, and they get all kinds of people that try to enforce the laws, because they believe that if they could just control these circumstances, then they would never have to look at anything that upset them again. But then you discover that the tsunami will come, and that there aren't laws or rules or armies that can stop that. Or the hurricane will come, or the earthquake will come. In other words, there's always going to be something that is going to challenge your idea that you can control circumstances. You cannot control circumstances. You never intended to control circumstances. You intended to discover unconditional love. You intended to discover a way to feel good no matter what, because you have the facility, you have the power, you have the ability to focus. You have the ability to choose where you focus. Therefore, you have the ability to offer vibration deliberately. Therefore, you have the ability to choose the way you feel. But it takes some practice. And as you practice every day, something will happen and it will hit you in your gut. You will feel it viscerally in your body. Somebody says something or does something, or you see something on television, and then you got to stop right then and you have to say, nothing is more important than that I feel good. And right now, I'm going to do my best to find the best feeling thought that I can find. Now, sometimes you can change the subject. It's easy to change the subject. Or you could meditate, just quiet your mind, put your brain on pause. That makes you feel better immediately too. But if there are circumstances that are hammering you, things that come up often, somebody in your experience that is there every day or often every day, if there's something happening in your experience that you consistently feel bad about, then you've got some work to do on this emotional scale. And once you show yourself that that person or that circumstance does not have to change for you to move from fearful to hopeful, or from despair to anger to frustration, once you show yourself that nothing has to change in terms of the action journey for you to have real movement in the emotional journey, once you show yourself that, then watch what happens to your action journey. Once you shift, once you beat that drum, once it settles in, once you find the groove of that, once you are there, once you've shifted that belief, once you've modified that vibration, far less effort than you think, everything will begin to shift in your experience. So, contrast causes you to offer rockets of desire. The desire is nowhere near where you're vibrating. So you've given birth to an idea of something you want, but you are not a vibrational match to it. So you do your best to find thoughts that feel closer and closer and closer to it. And when you begin to feel the elation that you will feel when that manifests, even before it manifests, now it must manifest, and it must manifest fast. That's why we ask you that all-important question as we began here today. Do those unfulfilled desires please you? And some of you lie and say yes, some of you say no, but we want you to work on getting to the place where you say, yes, I love this unfulfilled desire. I love knowing that there's something in the offing for me. I love knowing that it's out there percolating, and I love doing my work, which is gradually, gently, consistently bringing myself into vibrational alignment with it. When it feels like the next logical step, then it comes right in. Your work, as you stand in the absence of something wanted, is to pretend it, to imagine it, to become so familiar with the essence of what it would feel like when it comes, that even though it hasn't come, you still feel good. Even though my lover hasn't come yet, I'm excited about the idea of my lover coming. I'm anticipating. I feel excited about it. But if I'm depressed, if I'm discouraged, if all the good ones are taken, then it's not the next logical step. We think you heard that. Our work here is done.